G'day and welcome to More Cowbell, Please. My name is Ainsley Grosser. Today's episode is part one of Jordan Mohilowski, a producer and songwriter. He is a former member of The Afters and his original band, Storyside B. He gets into his story, starting out in Florida, getting into producing and writing for acts like MercyMe and TobyMac. Now, if you haven't been on my channel before and you're interested in the Christian music business, please check out former podcasts with Paul Mabry, who produced the first two Lauren Daigle records. They did pretty well, huh? And founded a drum sound company called That Sound. I have Luke Smallbone from Fakir and Country, Danny Duncan, probably the most winningest Grammy engineer in the Christian music business, Ian Eskelin, great producer, songwriter, Doug Weir, a mix guy who's mixing a lot of the hits on Christian radio right now, Chris Cleveland from Stars Go Dim, and I have got a lot of guests lined up and some controversy coming up, so stay tuned. Hey, if you haven't hit subscribe, like the notifications bell and stuff, do that please. Without any further ado, this is Jordan Mohilowski.
The more controversial, the better.
See, now, you don't know the format of this podcast, but as a professional percussion player,
Yes. Oh, do I get to
you
take...
get to play the cowbell. I don't allow non-professionals to handle my instrument.
Okay.
So this calls it to session.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's begin.
We're rolling. Jordan, I am so happy to have you here, old friend, buddy, pal,
Thank
mate,
you.
chum, friend of mine.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to be here and hang with you.
Yeah, man.
This is just hanging.
We are going to do the normal things that we do on the podcast.
Yeah.
But as we were just talking, I have pulled up a short bio AI thing here. Even though I know you well, I'm just going to read this for fun, and you can correct AI. It says Jordan Mohilowski is a Nashville-based powerhouse, man, in Christian music, known as a songwriter, producer, multi-instrumentalist. He's the drummer for The Afters.
Former.
Yep. A Dove Award-winning contemporary Christian music band and a founding member of Storyside B, where he helped craft their number 2 CHR hit Miracle. True?
Number 2. Yeah.
Number 2. It was a number 2. It was
number
that
2.
good.
Yep.
Signed to Tim Publishing since 2022.
Yeah.
After stints with Disney Publishing and Fair Trade. Oh, so you're not with Fair Trade now?
No, I'm with Tim.
Who's?
Yeah.
Oh, Tim is.
So Tim is Jason Ingram and Chris Tomlin.
Yes, I've seen
came
that.
together and started a publishing company. And it's been so great because I feel like the team that you have around you can be your wing. Stacy, who works over there. I fell in love with her work ethic.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just her as a person. She's just so awesome, and she shoots you straight. She'll be like, I don't like that.
She is the consummate music industry professional. I mean, she's worked for every company in town.
Yeah.
She knows what's going on. She'd probably be a good guest.
She'd be a great guest. Add her, for sure.
Jordan has penned and produced chart toppers like, and you corrected this, Mercy Me's number 1, Then Christ Came, but you're saying you produced that, you didn't write.
Right, correct. My song with Mercy Me was To Not Worship You, and then we had a song called Say I Won't that I did with Bart.
Terrain's top 20 Big God? Oh, it said Terrain. Is it Terran?
Terrian, yeah.
Oh, Terrian.
Yeah.
Okay. TobyMac's recent number 1, Nothin Sweeter. You wrote on that one?
Yeah.
Wow. His work extends beyond radio with sync placements in TV and film show, American Idol, Dancing with the Stars, Selling Sunset. A BMI Award winner, has widely played Christian radio songs. Jordan's career blends creative grit with a knack for spotting hits, making him a go-to collaborator in the industry. Do you like that, buddy?
I like that.
It's pretty good, right?
I need this introduction everywhere I go.
AI is your friend. Career highlights. You got a number 1 hit with Then Christ Came and Toby's Nothin Sweeter. So the format is, I want to hear your story, origins. Yeah. 2 things. People influenced you in your early life to even think about a music career, why you did that. As a part of that is Christian music.
First of all, just seeing you and just being here is such a joy to me because anytime we get to hang out, we're friends outside of work or anything like that. It's a crazy journey, my story, because when I was younger, I was super into sports. I had a leg accident when I was in the 4th grade. A kid actually fell on my leg, broke the growth plate, I had to have 10 surgeries, couldn't do sports anymore.
How old are you?
I was in 4th grade, so I don't know.
Like 9 or something, yeah.
I had to wait till I was fully grown. And then they had to do a surgery called leg lengthening surgery. And so they put this device on my leg and I had to crank it out 4 times a day. And it actually stretched the bone to match the other leg. It was crazy, horrible thing. That accident, that situation got me into music. I could not do sports anymore. So I remember as clear as day, one night, just talk with my mom before we went to bed. And I just remember like breaking down, like the thing that I love most, which was baseball at the time, I can't do anymore. I just don't feel talented. I don't feel like I have anything. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do now. In 4th grade, it wasn't like professional baseball player, but it was the thing that I grew up and invested so much in. I remember my mom prayed with me a very clear prayer, and it was like, Lord, reveal the talents that you have in Jordan. I think that next Christmas, my uncle actually gave me a guitar, and I fell in love with the guitar. I was just like, the second I picked it up, I started taking lessons. I kind of clearly knew I'm going to do this no matter what professionally. I love it that much. I just knew that I knew in my heart, this is my path. I start taking guitar lessons and realize kind of early on that I can hear songs, and it's like the chords I could hear them in my head, and figure them out pretty quick. And my guitar teacher, I remember him saying like, dude, you got something really special. I met this friend. He had this little 4-track recorder. I would go over to his house and we'd have these jam sessions, it was like 11 or 12, and we're putting together these tracks in this 4-track recorder. Fell in love with it. I got the same recorder and just every day after school would just come home and start recording. And I was like, I need a drummer and I need a bass player. What do I do? And so I was like, I got to learn. I got to learn how to play so I can record. That's literally the only reason I learned how to play drums or bass, was just to record on a little 4-track recorder and be able to do it all. Because I was like trying to call up drummers and they couldn't come over. And
so what was motivating you though? Like, was it the song, or was it just the music making process?
Music making, music making process of having nothing and then creating something was just so special,
You did it all to a 4-track at 11. That's really young.
Mm-hmm. I'm grateful. I had great parents that they bought me a little 4-track recorder and really saw that I had something early on, and they invested in that. My biggest champions. So I'm in school. Yeah, I'm in high school. Can't wait to get home every day. I was completely not involved in any extracurricular activities. It was literally all I could do just to get home and start working on my recordings, writing songs. It all clicked with me, early on. And at 14 years old, I remember I was like, I need to record these songs like in a professional studio. And so I went to this guy's house in Jacksonville, Florida, where I'm from, and set up my drums, and I recorded 5 songs in one day, playing all the parts, singing all the parts. And I knew all the parts in my head, so I literally just played to a click in my head. The guy was like, whoa, we've like never had this happen before at age 14. One of those songs ended up getting played on the alternative rock station in Jacksonville, Florida. They had this like native noise thing. It was like local music where they kind of represent local music. And I remember like my song playing on the radio at age 14. And I was like, wow, it blew my mind. And I remember being in high school, like people were like, oh my gosh, like your song's playing on the radio. And it was like a thing. It's a total thing back then. And I completely used that to my advantage with the girls.
Oh yeah, man. You must have been a stud. I just can't imagine. So you're the rock star 14-year-old in high school.
It was crazy.
With a song on the radio.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Got through high school. I got a full music scholarship to a college in Jacksonville, Florida. I quickly realized I couldn't sight read. I could sight read, but it was just slow compared to my ear. I could sit here and try to read this, or somebody could play it and I'll play it right back to you. I just realized my ear was quicker than reading. I got through 2 years of college, basically never sight reading a note. I would just memorize everything through college. And I had straight A's. It was the hard way of doing it, though. I remember there was this one time, they have this thing called juries. And it was at the end of the semester, they have all the professors line up. So I remember playing my piece and feeling good about my piece. But then they put a piece of sheet music, and they're like, all right, read it. I got found out that moment. I remember them looking at the professor, and it was like, how did he get through this far with never reading? Meanwhile, I'm in college. At this point, I have a little digital recorder. I had a little CD burner too. I like record on this 8-track and then burn a little disc at the end of the day and go out to my car and like drive around and listen to what I had just done. But I had written this song. I knew there was one guy in Jacksonville, Florida. He's got the coolest voice. And he's the only person I know that could be the right person to sing on the song. I ended up going to go see him live. He was playing at a bar. Here I am at 17 years old walking into a bar. And I walked up to him and I was like, hey man, I was like, you got to come out to my car and hear the song I just did today. I think you're going to love it. Okay. We go out to my car and I press play and I could just see him like start putting it together really quick in his, and it was like a moment, you know, because this is like my favorite singer in town, the top level singer. He's like, dude, you got to email this to me. And so that night I remember emailing it as soon as I got home. The next morning I woke up and there was the song. He had written lyrics and melodies to my song. And then that was like the birth of my first band, Storyside B. And the first song that we ever wrote together was Miracle in My Hand. And that was the song that did really well for us.
How did it go from him writing lyrics and, you know, him doing a vocal over your demo to it being a radio song?
Yeah, great question. Shout out to my mom. She submitted the demo of the song to a TBN Christian talent search, like American Idol type thing. And actually John Mays was on it.
Oh, really?
Yes. Huh. And there's some other, Deborah Evans Price from Billboard magazine was one of the judges. We ended up getting on the show and we made it all the way to second place on the show. We performed this one song that we had. This one song got us to the second place and it ended. It's like, well, what do we do now? And from that, we got managers. So Creed's manager kind of reached out to us, and then we got a local managers in Jacksonville, Florida. It basically started this whole relationship with them. And I did this talent search when I was 19. I was in college at the time. We're going to get Creed's bass player to really produce out our first real demo CD. So we had written more songs. We felt like we're ready. Next thing you know, the bass player of Creed is producing our music now. And so I went to my professor and I was like, hey, I have to take 2 weeks off of school and I have to go to Orlando, Florida and record with this guy because this is my dream. This is what I want to do with my life. There was a moment, it was a defining moment for me because he picked up the podium, slammed it down, and he said, you're never going to make it in the music business. Wow. And I remember he said this statement, you have a better chance of winning the Olympics than ever getting a record deal. And I remember, like, as a 19-year-old, that was not the response I thought I would get to, hey, I'm going to go follow my dreams. Can I do the work while I'm gone? It was totally a different response. And I was just kind of floored. And I remember grabbing my bag and I walked out the door. I was walking out the doors. He said, you walk out those doors, I'll take away your scholarship and fail you.
Oh, dude.
And it was such a defining moment in my life. And it was the perfect thing that needed to happen. And I look back and I remember saying to him, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I walked out the doors and I grabbed my phone. I was like crying. You know, I called my parents. I said, I'm never coming back here. And I thought they would say, you know, Jordan, calm down. It was completely the opposite. They were like, okay, we get it. And sometimes in life, I think there's these moments that you need to be pushed out of the nest, you know, if you will, you know, and that was a classic moment.
But, you know, there's something so deep soul kind of scarring about those kind of things in one hand, but you're right. That's what happens when mum pushes the bird out the nest.
Yeah, exactly.
Mum's giving you a rejection, but it's the best thing that could happen to you. So you walked out. And you go to Orlando.
Go to Orlando, record this record. And next thing you know, Joey Elwood from Goatee Records, here's our first demo record, our real produced out demo record. Hey, we're really interested in you guys. Can you audition for TobyMac on his tour bus? He's coming through Jacksonville, Florida. And so here we are after Toby's show on his tour bus. And the whole band, we pile into his tour bus, his front lounge, and we're sitting there playing for TobyMac. And I'm 19 at the time, and I'm like, this is just the craziest thing. Ended up getting a record deal a year later. So to that professor, watch what you say.
Well, you can thank him now. So what happened in that year?
That's a good question. We're getting our ducks in a row with songwriting. We're getting our ducks in a row with just being an actual band. And like we started playing kind of local things. Like, is this all going to work? We had a couple guys from Texas move to Jacksonville to be in the band. It's like a moment of, is this really happening?
Are you waiting tables? Like, what are you doing to make money? Are your parents supporting you, or what's happening?
My parents were the best. I lived at home. So I would go to the studio with the singer every day and we'd write songs. They were helping me essentially build what the vision was. So key to have parents that pour in. And as a dad now, I look at my life and my kids' life, just getting behind their dreams is so important.
Yeah, it speaks to me. You're only working on your own stuff at this point. You haven't produced anybody else. You haven't written with anybody else. It's all internal at this point.
Yes.
You're honing your craft.
Honing the craft and just writing, coming up with music. The way our process worked with the singer and I is I would do the music, record all the parts, and then send him the track. And then we'd go over together and collaborate on lyrics and melody. And that was our process. It worked. We ended up auditioning for Toby, like I said, and next thing you know, we got a record deal. Songs are on the radio and starting to happen. And we shot a music video in LA. It was just like, what is happening? It's such a dream, thing. And that was a great process. I mean, we toured the country for 5 years. And then one of our band members passed away, tragically. He was the bass player and keys player in the band. The picture of health guy. And he had a heart condition that nobody knew about. He was on a cruise ship with his wife, was playing basketball. His wife was sitting right there watching them play, and he just collapsed and right there on the cruise ship. At 33, Ron passed away, and it rocked my whole world.
Oh, cannot imagine.
He was my closest friend. We just had a special friendship. I think about it almost every day. How much he's missed out on. I think about him so much.
You're enjoying your earliest adventures together. Something I've noticed for myself, and I think it's universal, those first musical adventures, you remember everything about them.
Yes.
Because they are the first. And it means the most. And you had 5 years with this guy. I can't even imagine.
He was one of those guys that if he walked into a room, you would notice him and you'd say, that is the sweetest and coolest guy. He's just got a thing about him. He just had a light, very strong light inside of him. So the band ended. Listen to this. This is crazy. I'm freaking out kind of because, band ends. This thing that I had dropped out of college for. What do I do now? Maybe the college professor was right. Maybe I'm just going to go back to college and this is it. But the day after, I get a call from the singer of the Afters, Josh Havens. And he said, hey man, we just lost our drummer of 10 years. Can you learn 11 songs and come play the show in 3 days with us? Backstory, they were my favorite band at the time. I remember telling my parents, if I were ever to play for an existing band, it'd be the Afters. They were my favorite band. And literally the next day, I get a call. And Josh didn't even know.
He didn't know about
the
band member passing. So you'd been playing drums in Storyside. You'd been producing, but drumming.
I toured the country of Storyside Be playing drums.
So that's what you were known as in public.
Yes. We had done some touring with the Afters years before. It was just a crazy fluke thing. Then I started a journey of 12 years with the Afters, and those guys are my best friends. We talk all the time, still to this day, even though I haven't been in the band for 5 years. We're still as close as ever. I genuinely would say those are my best friends.
Your journey started with them before Light Up the Sky? Like, was Light Up the Sky seemed to be the breakout song for the Afters?
Yeah, that was the record I was on. The pressure was on because they were my favorite band. I remember moving to Dallas to be a part of the band, and I had a little condo, and I just sat there with the bass player of the band, me and him. His name's Dan. We would sit there and write all day and just try to write songs for the Afters record. Me and Dan, the bass player, would just sit there all day and just try to write songs for their record. And I was like, Dan, we have to land one of their singles. That's a due north here. We wrote one song called Life is Sweeter. It was about Ron and his passing. And then we ended up writing a song called Lift Me Up. That ended up being a big song for them. And fun fact about that song, there was no cymbals on that song. I didn't play any cymbals on the drums. I was big into Phil Collins. In the Air Tonight didn't have any cymbals on it, which I thought was really cool. It was didn't separate sections. It just huge drum. And so I was like, I'm going to put some Phil Collins vibe drums on this. Ended up working pretty well for them.
The chapter of the Afters. So where did you tour? What are some memorable moments? The other thing I want, I'm always looking for is embarrassing moments.
Oh, yeah.
Things that happen that are just were terrible or whatever, you know.
Oh man, we traveled the world. It was my first experience really traveling overseas. I remember first this festival in Amsterdam, and it was just like, this is a totally different culture, and it was so fascinating to me. I was just in my own little bubble. And
Had you been overseas before then?
No.
That was your first trip overseas?
I barely ever flew on an airplane before this. It was pretty mind-blowing to me. We just had the best time just traveling, just in our friendship. We just grew closer. When you travel in these close quarters for as long as we did, I mean, you get to know people very well. And you get to know personalities. You get to understand how people work, what sets people off, what, you know, like little things. I feel like I became my true self with them, and they accepted me for me. I could truly say whatever I want, and they're going to love me. Not that I have anything to hide or anything, but I just felt this like safety with them, and they with me. We played in Kuwait for the troops. We played in London. We played Amsterdam. Like I said, we'd sell out Amsterdam in like 30 minutes. It's crazy. We just kind of became a thing there in Amsterdam. We went to Australia. We played in Sydney and some other places in Australia. At some point along the way, I started doing their records, and that was really cool for me. My first song I ever produced for them, it was a song called Moments Like This. That song was really worked well in sync and ended up recouping our whole record. It was the biggest song on the record too. And it was the first song that I had, well, the second time I'd ever been hired by a record company to produce out a song. So it was like, it was a cool moment of like, okay, I think I have something in the production thing to give.
So you're getting your first production gig that's hired by a label. How does it go?
Well, there's a backstory to that. So Jacksonville, Florida, where I'm from, this local church there asked me to write a song for their church, and there was a specific thing that they're trying to accomplish for the church. And this, you're part of this story. Celebration Church in Jacksonville, Florida. We wrote a song called, me and two other guys wrote a song called You Amaze Us. I remember that was the first ever production gig I was hired to do. So I got paid $1,000 to do this from the church, and I just put my whole heart and soul into it. I remember people like coming into my studio and like, what do you like? It was like a month later, and I'm still working on this thing, crafting. So I didn't really know how it all worked, you know, but I crafted that thing, man. And I worked on it. I felt like settled in myself.
You're spending a month on this song you got $1,000 for.
I think that works out to be about, 50 cents a day.
Yeah.
And then I looked for a mixer for the song, and I really liked the way this song by For King Country sounded on the radio.
You're in recent times. For King Country didn't have songs out till like 2012 or 2011 or something like that.
They had a song. What was one of their first songs?
Proof of Your Love or
Proof of Your Love. And I looked up who mixed that, and it was you. And so I sent the song to you. You crushed it. I think from there, a guy named Chad Segura worked at Word at the time, heard the song, and they were like, we want to sign this song to a single song pub deal. Anyways, that song ended up that song won a Dove Award. That's the first production I ever did. And it was exactly the same track.
And was it Sailor that cut it?
Sailor that cut it, yeah.
That was
good, my first ever production. Nobody knew it though. Did you know it when you pulled up?
Yeah, you told me. You told me it was. But I knew you were intense about it and serious. But you weren't a beginner in music.
No.
You'd been playing for a while, so this wasn't a complete begin. And you'd produced, Storyside stuff.
Yep.
You'd been there through all of that. Yep. You had been around the block before.
Yeah. What did you think when you pulled up in the files? I mean, it's probably like 5 million songs ago.
No, I said to somebody the other day that I don't look at files for what's wrong with them or what could be better with them. I look what I can do with them and how good it can be made. It all fit together perfectly. It was AC or inspo almost. Mm-hmm. So, it was in that zone and it fit perfectly. You obviously had skills and you were so dedicated. I mean, the fact that you spent a whole month on that one song, I mean, that's like A-level artist, $50,000 budget level work you were putting in, It
meant a lot to me. And every song, even now, I feel that same thing. I don't care who it is that I'm working with. I still put the same amount of time and effort. I think attention to detail is something that's missed in Christian music these days. I want my songs and productions to feel like this is really legit. And I want people to hear the details in the sonics. It's really important to me. I want to be different than everybody else. I don't want to be another name the producer. I want to be my own thing.
You'll do that better than you can do anybody else. So that's right. That's what you have to do. You're in the afters, and is it moments like this was your first song you got hired for?
That first song for the church, I ended up getting a Dove Award. And then the second song was Moments Like This. And that was for the afters on the Life is Beautiful record. Recouped the whole record. It was a big song. Still one of their top stream songs, I think, now. I remember getting Ben Gross to mix that song. He was one of my favorite mixers at the time, just in mainstream records.
Yeah, he's great mixer. Were you not producing other things along the way?
Still in the afters traveling. So it was kind of weird for me because I would be traveling all throughout the week and then get home for a few days and go back into the studio. But I couldn't get like a steady flow of writing and stuff going because I was here, there, and everywhere, kind of coming in and out of my house. The first song with the afters comes out. Meanwhile, I'm a big pop music fan. And so I started writing pop songs. I ended up writing a song with my buddy Jess Cates and my buddy Dan Ostabo. A Disney band ended up hearing this song called R5, and they were on Hollywood Records. Next thing you know, I'm getting a call from the head of music over at Disney, and he's like, "Dude, I heard this record. It's really good, man. Like, you know how to finish songs well." I remember he said that statement to me. You know how to finish songs well. It really encouraged me, and he said, like, would you be willing to take a meeting with us? We're interested in like actually signing you. That was my first publishing deal, was Disney LA. Got to take a bunch of trips out there, and I would see, like early cuts of movies. Like I remember seeing Pete's Dragon was remade, and like, here's the scene, you guys write for it. And so it was just really cool process at Disney. Also came with some defeats, as every publishing experience probably does with everybody. From that, I started really just I wanted to start my own thing after Disney, something that I own. And so me and my buddy Jess Cates and my buddy Ethan Halls got together, and we started a sync project called In Paradise. So what's crazy about In Paradise is we had the sole purpose of just doing songs for sync. And so we just started making music, and you would mix them. Yeah. You'd mix our jams. We'd put these songs out, and one of them actually caught on Instagram, and it ended up being the top song on Instagram. We got a message from somebody from Instagram. They're like, this is like the top song on the entire platform of Instagram. And it was like at 10 million reels. 10 million different reels have used the song. So those are people with huge followings that would, that song would be out there and everybody would see it. It was a crazy, mind-blowing thing.
What was that song called?
It's called Moments We Live For. It's one of those songs that you put under like a baby being born or walking on the beach or vacation. It was just the broad appeal of that song and that lyric reached far worldwide. And that was a funny story because it wasn't the main version that actually got recognized. It was a version that I did at my house. And I remember the guys in the band were like, what are you doing? Well, I just feel like this song slowed down and more emotional is gonna, I don't know, I just feel like it has something on it, So I did this version. It was just all slowed down. It's just super easy production, simple. And that's the version of the song that is on 10 million different reels. It taught me something about myself. Number one, to trust myself, trust my gut and my vision, because there's something that happens in here that I just somehow have the idea or whatever. And it's like, execute the vision, trust your gut, and go. 2017, we started In Paradise, and it was magic. We just all clicked super well and became close friends and just started cranking out these tunes, and sync stuff worked really good. When you start something, you don't really know what it's going to do.
So at that point, is this all, you said you owned your own, like you're completely independent, but you've got the pub deal still running.
So In Paradise was after my publishing deal. So I owned all of my own publishing, and we owned the masters. We split it all evenly. It's just something that we all contribute in our own ways, and it just makes sense to just all split it evenly, and just makes everybody feel involved. And
so who's plugging it for you? How's your stuff getting out into the real world?
Some relationships that I had with some people at Sony LA that we were able to get syncs, and it was those people that championed our songs. Those people really mean a lot to me. There's a certain lady that worked for Sony Sync Shop out there that just Like I could literally burst into tears talking about her. So she's a big reason why our song did well in sync.
You had the chapter with In Paradise. Were you producing other things in that time? Were you writing other things?
I was writing in the Christian world. I was still in the pop world a little bit, but I really changed my focus intentionally. I wanted to make songs that had heart and meaning and purpose to them. Not that I ever want to abandon pop music, because I love pop music myself, but I want to help people with where they're at. I want a song that's going to help somebody in their journey of life. So that became really a priority to me. Shortly thereafter, started working with MercyMe, and me and Bart really connected, the singer of MercyMe. We got together one day to write. I remember taking the week off before my write with Bart. I had prepared 5 musical ideas for this write with Bart. I just wanted to like literally play for Bart and just see if any of these ideas inspired him. And I think in the end, 3 out of the 5 were cut. We wrote to those songs, and I think another one got cut by another artist. So 4 out of the 5 that I did that week landed on records. So that was pretty cool.
As a write level, were you producing them as well?
Yep, writing and production. One of those songs off that record was a song called Say I Won't. If you see the music video for that song, it's pretty crazy. This guy went into the hospital and he had sepsis. He was in a coma and woke up with all of his limbs gone. And this is a part of his story. It was an inspirational song. They said he'd never walk again. In the video, it's like him strapping on his legs at the end, and he's walking, you know, and it just a powerful, powerful story.
True story.
Yeah, true story. Can you imagine going into the hospital with an infection and waking up from a coma and all of your limbs are gone?
Your whole life is changed dramatically.
And that ended up being their first single from that record. And this is a crazy story. So that same record, Bart and I started the song, and it was really just the bare bones of the song. Bart will do this. So this is a little story about Bart Millard. He's going to play the day of demo for all of his high up friends. You know, it's a joke between him and I. Like, it'll be like, okay, who do you play this for today, Bart? He happened to play this song idea for Ryan Tedder from One Republic, who is like my songwriting hero. I just remember being at the studio, and Bart and I are working, and Bart disappears and walks in about 5 minutes later. And he goes, "You're going to want to sit down for this." And he presses play. He goes, "Hey man, it's Ryan Tedder. I just heard your song yesterday, and I've got some ideas for it." Ryan Tedder, who is my songwriting hero, heard a song that I was a part of and is wanting to hop in on the song as a writer. He goes, "I have a few ideas for it. I should see if I can find this."
So you got like a voicemail or like a...
I saved it because I was like,
Of course you would.
All right, Bart, send that to me, and I'm saving it.
Yesterday is really good. I have a couple thoughts. I was right around jogging, listen to it. Look, no skin up my back, but it's so hard for me to do in a voice memo. If you don't mind me digging with it, send me the acapella on the track, and I'll just insert. I'm just gonna move a couple things around. I think it'll simplify it. Actually be potentially, what do I know? I don't know, but potentially stickier. And like not in a cheesy way, but in like a really kind of mathematically, this is going to be a hit kind of way. If you're cool with that, otherwise I'll get either way. I think it's a great song now.
So next thing you know, I'm getting an email. Ryan Tedder sent me my track back with his voice on it, just fixing a couple little melody. I mean, it was minute changes, but the right changes. And I learned from that. The little tweaks that he made. The song's called So Yesterday. And that's the hook that you keep pounding home. And at the end of the song, instead of completing the phrase, "That was so," and he, in the version he sent over, cut out the last phrase. Let the public put the word there. And I thought that was really interesting. I haven't thought about that way.
You said you had a Justin Bieber story. I got to hear this.
Oh my gosh. We're playing in Michigan one day with the Afters. We're about to play a Luis Palau festival. He's like a speaker. It's a big, huge show, 15,000 people out there. So we're sitting in our green room before the show, just sitting around on our phones and stuff. So there's a bunch of RVs in the backstage area. And all of a sudden, these 2 black SUVs pull up, and all these people pile out. And I look over, and I see Stephen Baldwin. And then I look over, and Justin Bieber walks out. can't believe Justin Bieber's here at this show. What are the chances? So he's like literally just walking around outside of the RV. He's listening to a song or something, and he's just like, I don't know if he was writing notes to whoever the producer was at the time or whatever. I've got to come up with something to say to Justin Bieber. I walk out there. I make it not even about him at all. I was like, dude, like one of my heroes is Max Martin. What was it like to work with Max Martin? I am the biggest Max Martin fan in the whole world. And so I totally didn't make it about him. Let me tell you, if you're ever talking to somebody, it's such a great thing to do. Don't make it about them.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, that worked.
It worked.
How did the conversation go?
I could tell he was like, whoa. He's like, went into this whole story about working with Max. He worked with Max on the song called Beauty and a Beat. He's like, man, it was crazy working with Max. He's like, it was a little weird because he's Swedish. And there was like a language barrier and stuff. Yeah. But he said it was really cool. I was like, so who's your favorite person that you've ever worked with? And he goes, definitely Skrillex. And we talked for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, oh, dude, I got to run. I've got to go play. He's like, you're going to play? He's like, I'll come watch your show. So I have a video of Bieber on the stage watching our show, like worshiping to one of the songs. It was so cool.
Serious?
Yeah, it's so cool. And, we talked for like 10 minutes. He watched our show from the side of the stage. Yeah, it was a cool moment.
Awesome. Well, that's a great story. Don't forget to tune in next week for part 2 of Jordan Mohilowski. I've saved some really good stuff for the next part. So I know you're going to enjoy it. Until then, I hope you'll stick really good things in your ears. Okay, bye.